From the moment I stepped into town, I pretty much assumed I was the smartest person here. Field research of the subject today confirms this. If I have to spend a significant amount of time around these people, I figured I'd get on the good side of as many of them as possible. I started with that little style guy I heard mentioned on Moriarty's terminal. We did some talking and I convinced him to quit his habit. His brother and sister appreciated it too. This coincidentally landed me a nice supply of drugs. I don't exactly want to end up like Silver, but my dad's a doctor and I'm pretty knowledgeable about medicine too. These things do actually have some physical benefits. If I ever get into another fight, they might come in handy. I could use some of this buff out stuff if I ever have to deal with raiders again. Next, I asked around town and got to know all the people. Mr. and Mrs. Vargas were this old couple who've been in Megaton for a long time. Nathan told me a little bit about the Enclave and how they are a continuation of the US government, which makes me even more eager to meet them. And Mania explained the history of Megaton too, including shedding some light around why they built a town around a bomb and never removed it. Apparently, it was this weirdo cult's fault. People who worship the bomb. Church of Atom, they're called. I was surprised to learn that there were in fact two factions that wanted to explode the bomb here, who had nothing to do with each other. But the church are unable to actually do it now that I've defused the thing, and seem unaware that I ever did it in the first place. And they never made any attempt to force it before. They just harmless crazies. People to be looked down upon disdainfully, rather than people to shoot. I gave that Confessor Cromwell guy a pity cup. His wife looks old too. Despite what Moriarty's terminal speculated, I kinda like Billy Cruel too. He seems like a genuinely nice guy. A bit like Dad. Expect a dirty wasteland. Okay, no more world prejudices. I try to stop with the superiority complex now.
But it ain't all bad.
His daughter Maggie, nice too, I guess. I stopped by to see that Dr. Church guy too. After what I read on Moriarty's terminal, I want to make sure that this town is safe. For a guy who used to work for slavers, he really didn't act like it. Seemed like an okay guy, just concerned about his patients. And I don't often meet another man of medicine. Not that I was a qualified doctor exactly by the time I left the vault, but I know a fair share. He even sold me some Radaway, so that's one problem solved. I decided that he gets to live. Then I went to see Moira. She was cheery, seems a bit delusional and crazy, but she means well. I offered to help her with a project. She's planning on writing a book called The Wasteland Survival Guide. Something like that would have been really helpful to have earlier. Being a vault dweller, she thought I could provide the forward and recalling life in the vault. She gave me an armored version of the vault suit as payment, apparently made for a previous vault dweller who escaped into the great outdoors but never came back to get it. Hell, I'm not complaining. This thing is nice. So anyway, the first chapter was going to cover treating radiation sickness, so she requested I go out and catch some. I immediately went outside and took a good long drink of that disgusting radiated water around the bomb, and went back to her with over 600 rats on me, according to the pitbull. She was extremely pleased, got her research done, and informed me that I have a permanent mutation, thanks to my stupidity. It's burning, but that pissed me off, and all this was still not enough to get a free house refurbishment. Bitch. Next, it was back up to the bar to deal with some problems. Burke's corpse had already been slung out when I got up there, and I spent the next hour just mingling. I met the water treatment guy, Walter, who got me to go out and fix some pipes around town for him, and who I set up a deal with, where I provided him with scrap metal in exchange for cups. I also met some woman called Lucy West, who wanted me to deliver a letter to her brother in some settlement northwards, which I also plans to get to. And I met this fuckhead Jericho, who was the man who raped Jelly Stahl. according to the terminal.
Ah, look.
He was the last guy on my list to check out,
Wasteland
former raider,
assholes.
with an
Okay,
interest in
asshole.
returning
Don't like you.
to the old
Stay
life.
clear of me and
He
we'll
did
have
not
no
meet
trouble.
the standard of my "you get to live" trial. I followed him to his house later that night and left a live grenade in his bed. No one suspected me, because when I later joined the crowd of people hanging around his house and asked what was going on, I had just returned from giving a bottle of my purified water to the beggar outside, whose name is Mickey, by the way. After that, it was dinner with Lucas Sims and his boy
Dad
Harden,
says not to talk to
them
strangers.
showing their appreciation for all the good I've done. I found a bobblehead like Dad used to have in his house, only dedicated to physical strength instead of knowledge of medicine. I stole it when he wasn't
Hey,
looking,
friend.
because I'm a saint. Then it was back home, after a long day of murder, theft, self-harm, and giving water to the thirsty, to sit around in my house and pretend like I'm the nicest gosh darn kid this town ever seen. And to be fair, I've solved pretty much all of the immediate problems in the 2 days I've been here. So, I have done them a lot of good. I just happen to have done it in a very shady way. Oh, and who the fuck cares? So they don't have Jericho to protect them anymore. They got Sims, and they've got me. What else do they need? Quit complaining, Megaton.